Oh boy, fresh from the driveway, shoveling out probably the most significant snowstorm of the season. Your boys Fitzy and Hart are back once again with another edition, dare I say, the latest and always greatest edition of Six Rings and Football Things, brought to you by WEEI, Odyssey, and 2400 Sports. Happy Combine Week, everybody. Happy men in undies. Happy ripped, just jacked, super strong men in tight clothing, jumping, running, throwing, catching, and just being physical specimens for your pleasure. We will discuss the NFL Combine, what presence we expect the Patriots to have, the impact it has had in previous seasons, and what we think the Patriots will glean from it this particular year, 2023, in the back half of the pod today. We call that Pat's Paris, where we address all the news, notes, nuggets, and points of interest around Pat's Nation. Up top, we'll continue with our positional off-seasonal previews. We will address the third in the triangle of primo importance to Pat's fans, that being cornerback. Because one day, Andy, it's we need a number one wide receiver. Another day, it's we got to get a left tackle. And then the next day, it's we need a shutdown corner. I think we can all agree the Patriots need an elevation of talent at all three positions. But today, we will look at the cornerback position in our off-seasonal positional preview. Real quick, just give the people right off the top here, right off the old tippity tip. What is Combine Week like for those of us who live, eat, breathe, sleep Foxborough football, yet have never been to Indianapolis nor sampled the St. Elmo's shrimp cocktail?
Well, there's a it depends how you cover it, how you approach it, what you're looking to obtain. If you're covering the actual event itself, the prospects, the press conferences with the GMs, the coaches, and then the prospects themselves and the testing, that's a long, long day. If you're looking to
a lot of sound bites, a lot to transcribe, a lot of holding the microphone out, a lot of nodding.
The bulk of it is useless. The bulk of it is garbage.
It's like life.
Filler, absolutely. And then if you're looking to build contacts and create, break news stories, get little tidbits, whispers from the assistant to the assistant GM or the third assistant wide receivers coach from an AFC South team, then you're out till, 5 a.m. at the bar drinking and hanging out with everybody. And so the Combine is it's a really interesting week where everybody is everywhere. Players on the street wearing their DL1, walking down, going to get White Castle burgers in the middle of the night and just these random things. But then also, you turn around and you look behind you at Elmo's and it's oh, there's Sean Payton. Oh, in front of me is whoever else, the GM of this team. It's and I do miss the St. Elmo's dinners and shrimp cocktails and everything that goes into that on a company dime. Because people make fun of me. I always enjoyed the Combine. It's a busy week, but I like Indy a little bit. It's fun. You get out. It's all football.
Downtown it's the downtown area for fans who have never been there. I'm sure Patriots fans listening are I like making fun of the Colts because of finalist Banner Field. And also, I never want to say anything nice about that place because of Peyton Manning. The Foxborough frauds that you like to call us, if you will.
Yes.
Who refuse to acknowledge any place outside of between 93, 128, and 495. There is more world out there. I hate to tell you, Kyrie Irving's earth is not flat. You will not fall off of it if you make your way towards New York, Pennsylvania, or Naptown, as they call it. In terms of just zipping in for a weekend, downtown Indianapolis is a professional sports fans' paradise. You have bars, breweries, burger places, the stadium. You've got everything is near each other. So in 48 hours, you can just consume, be gluttonous, get your fan on, root, cheer, rival. It's a great time. It's a great time for that. After that,
there's a reason it's kind of a convention city or a Big Ten championship city and all the athletic events they hold there. It is built for that, and it's a lot of fun. But it's going to be an interesting week, just the NFL wide, because you start to get buzz. You start to get the franchise taggings or non-taggings and different. Trade. Oh, the Bears are going to trade the first pick. Who's whispering? Who's talking? Derek Carr, where he's going to land. He's meeting with X teams at the Combine. We joke about it, Fitzy, but the legal tampering period that doesn't begin for 2 weeks, the illegal tampering period starts when all these people land at the airport and start, hey, you want to share a cab over to the hotel? And then all of a sudden,
that's on me. Hop in my Uber.
Right.
So some say it's the franchise tag period opening up that is the beginning of the next business year. Some could say it's the combine because that's the pre-legal tampering period. Then there's legal tampering. Then there's free agency, of course. Trades could happen at any time. So we'll get to exactly what we think the Patriots are into this year's combine for, some combine tales and more in the back half. But we move on to a position of interest for the New England Patriots. They're all positions of interest. Come on. But this is one of the primo, as I said, positions of interest as we continue with the offseasonal positional preview, the cornerback spot. I think the combine, Andy, is where, in addition to all the tape that the Matt Groves, the Bill Belichick's, and the many underlings, minions, and previous Andy Harts of the organization crushed down to try to find the next diamond in the rough, the next Jonathan Jones, the next J.C. Jackson, the next Malcolm Butler. The Patriots do a hell of a job of finding cornerbacks that they don't have to spend top dollar and top asset on, that deliver top performance, and then ultimately usually go somewhere else to get top dollar. Now, heading into the 2023 season, the New England Patriots are, without a doubt, without a shred of doubt or inquiry whatsoever, the New England Patriots have nothing resembling a true elite shutdown #1 top cornerback. Their previous top cornerback of the last season, Jonathan Jones, who was a slot corner who was pushed to the outside out of need, is a free agent looking to probably get anywhere between $12 to $15 million per year. Whether or not he comes back to the Pats, I don't know. Your other corners include Marcus Jones, who I think both of us believe would be much better served used minimally in the defensive backfield, rather for offensive special packages, his special teams, where he was an all-pro this season, especially as a punt returner. You got Jack Jones, who had some beef with Coach Belichick, or rather talked back and then got beefed with by the coach and suspended. He looks like a prize. He looks like a potential building block, but we could have attitude issues. Then you got Jalen Mills, who might have to shift over to free safety if Devin McCourty goes gently into that good night afterward. So it's a position of need for, like, they're going to need to address this through free agency and the draft. Let me ask you first, where do you think the Patriots attack the cornerback position most aggressively, in free agency or the draft?
Both. And that's the reality, is the cupboard is bare. Depending, I mean, I guess you could re-sign Jonathan Jones. I tend to think he may be gone as a top 20-ish free agent on the open market at the age of 30 who played outside. I think his value may go to a place where the Patriots don't necessarily want to go at this point in time. And he does love the team and the organization. So there's always that chance. He's one of those, I say this with much endearment, suckers who takes the offer they put on the table and signs it. I would not advise him to do that at this point in his career.
But he's been there 7 years, like you say. He's a community leader. He was just nominated. It's not the Ron Burt. I forget the name of the award, but he was a finalist for an award that DeMar Hamlin ultimately won at the NFL Honors. Like, this is
none of that pays your bills.
It does not. And it's not like he's going to accept 2 for $5. I mean, we're not talking about that drastic a hometown discount, but you wonder if the Patriots would want to see him on the outside again this season. If they say, no, we want to go get outside corners through the draft and free agency, we want to shift you back inside, so we're going to now pay you like a top slot corner. Would Jonathan Jones accept that?
No. Well, again, I'd say I wouldn't. If I were him, I would not advise him to. If I were him, if I were his wife, his mother, his father, his agent, whatever, I would advise him to get paid at this point in time, because you probably don't have a ton of years left at a big pay check. The thing that, just to put this into perspective, so now 17 games in the National Football League, you start at least 2 corners. So that's 34 starts you have to fill at cornerback at the very least. Forget about
bare minimum. And we're not even talking about sometimes the nickel, dime, or extravagant secondary-based packages teams put out there to deal with the fantasy footballification of the NFL.
The Patriots right now on their roster have 16 combined starts from a year ago. 10 starts for Jalen Mills, 4 for Marcus Jones, 2 for Jack Jones. So what you're saying is you really need some cornerback help, and that's why I say both. I think you need young. I think you need old. I think you need veterans with experience, maybe a wild card that you throw out there and hope he has something left. I think you need to throw some bodies, high and low end, at the cornerback spot, because, you know, I don't see where it's coming from. Sean Wade, for example, in theory, he should have been a guy that is coming into his own, is going to help. No, He's not. He can't get on the
What
field.
What a bummer. What a
Like,
bummer. This kid, his junior season at Ohio State was a top 5 cornerback prospect. And then by the time he gets to his senior season, flames out, shifts from the slot to the outside, loses it all, gets injured, loses all draft value, and just completely falls apart. And now, like, oh, he's so great that Baltimore takes him late in the draft. They spin him to the Pats for like, what, a 5th, 6th, or 7th his rookie season. And since then, he's been a bust and hasn't been able to stay on the field. Like, it's not tragic, but it's disappointing.
Yeah. Oh, from his perspective, I'm sure it's been probably borderline unbelievable. Like the track he was on. We often talk about the Mac track for $250 million contract. The Shaun Wade track was maybe first round pick, lots of money, cornerback's a high price position. And now he's relegated to, what was the guy's name? Quandre Mosley and Tay Hayes were playing above him late in the year.
Tay Hayes. Where were you for the Tay Hayes days in Foxborough? He is no longer with us. Excuse me. He is still of this earth, of course, but he's no longer with the New England. No, he's not with the New England Patriots. He has been given his release. And we wish him well with the likes of Devontae Bosby, XFL superstar.
Damn right. And if I were Tay Hayes and Quandre Mosley, I would call the XFL or the USFL or anything that ended up in FL and see if I can get a job.
Hey, you might be looking at future New England Patriots starter A.J. McCarron any given Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday with his 2-0 St. Louis Battlehawks at this point.
Oh, boy. Lord can only hope not. If anything,
right now, it's afternoons, Jones and Mego. I'd rather have A.J. McCarron than Mac Jones at this point. If we're talking Bama quarterbacks.
Right up until he puts on a jersey and then they'd rip A.J. McCarron because it's, everything is negative when you're on the afternoon show. But to just get back to the cornerback position, this is why, like, doing this, I love doing these sort of things because when you put it on paper and you really break it down, you come to realize certain things that maybe when you were superficially looking at it, you didn't know. They don't have any cornerbacks.
No. You're right, Andy. When we were getting this ready, I thought, like, oh, let's just get through cornerbacks because it's all about line and receiver and safety.
This is the biggest need. If you're being honest, this is the biggest need because even at tackle, you can say you have Trent Brown, a Pro Bowl caliber tackle. When he's on, he can play both tackles, whatever. If you go to wide receiver, you have Devontae Parker. You took a 2nd round wide receiver last year. You have Kendrick Bourne. You have some guy. When you're at cornerback, especially us that we've sort of advocated, Marcus Jones, you don't really want to lean on him. Well, if you cross him out, you have a guy who finished the year suspended by his head coach, who's never really started much in the NFL, who's a cocky SOB that we hope has upside, and Jalen Mills, who was never supposed to be a corner, never supposed to be a number 1 corner. And even Jonathan Jones, if you re-sign him, he struggled at times as an outside number 1 corner last year. I thought he got exposed as like, yeah, okay, the Peter principle. You don't really belong out here with the big boys. You belong on the inside. They have no corners. So whether it's the PFF dream, they gave Jamel Dean, the Tampa Bay corner, who's like a top 10 free agent in their minds, to the Patriots, or whether it's targeting it in the draft at number 14. I won't say need, you have to, because I guess that boxes Bill into a corner. Certainly seems from the outside looking in, they need a high-end corner somewhere, somehow.
Andy, I will tell you right now, as I jump to your particular favorite website, Pro Football Focus, PFF.com, they have their listing of the top free agent cornerbacks available. And Jamel Dean, who started last season opposite Carlton Davis in the secondary, the underrated secondary of the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers. Actually, no, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There was no Gronk last season. He finished with a coverage grade, believe it or not, of 89.9. So no wonder why he's hitting free agency at the right time.
Whoa, PFF likes him.
Yeah, of course. Well, for the people that get geeked out on these metrics, this is what ends up getting people paid. Then you end up with guys like James Bradbury, who's now going to probably lost millions just because of one ticky-tack penalty in the Super Bowl. The underrated Cam Sutton from Pittsburgh, John Jones from New England, Patrick Peterson, hard pass. I think he's older than you, Andy. Rocky Ya-Sin from the Raiders, Byron Murphy from the Cardinals, Marcus Peters, Steph Gilmore. It's not a banner crop. So
that would lead us to believe, using the same kind of logic we've talked about in terms of availability at receiver and as you're putting this whole mosaic, as Bill calls it, together,
Collage.
Do you go cornerback with the first pick? Because you're probably going to have one of the top corners on the board at 14. Do you go that route? And I know you are of the belief that, yeah, they do a great job developing mid and late round and undrafted corners. The top end, the second round picks, the higher picks at cornerback haven't exactly been their strong suit. Would you be scared, as Glenn Ordway used to like to say in the afternoons, would you be scared of a number 14 overall pick at cornerback?
As a matter of fact, Andrew, as we have gone back around, in, out, and around the idea of how do you address tackle, receiver, cornerback. We've discussed it here. We've discussed it on the award-winning Fitzy and Hart program on WEEI and beyond. Oh, but you haven't. Well, you'll see when you come to the trophy room. It's stacked.
We have a trophy room?
Oh, yeah, you didn't know? Oh, we're piling it up. Oh, yeah, no, I've been waiting for the big surprise.
Take Roberts? He doesn't need his anymore. They're not collecting any more trophies.
Stop it! Trying to bring people in. We're not trying to alienate them. We have gone around the idea of how do you get a top-tier tackle, top-tier receiver, and top-tier corner. And originally, I think we thought what you would do is draft a corner. I think now we're of the mind that the best way to go about this would be, A, you sign a corner, trade for a receiver, and draft a tackle, or B, I am now into this. My new reconfigured ultimate dream plan for the Patriots from free agency into the draft is sign a top tier tackle, trade for a receiver, draft a corner. You need a top cornerback that badly that I do not believe what PFF says that they're going to be able to sign both Orlando Brown and Jamel Dean. That just seems crazy. I think you can probably pull off signing a tackle. Then you have to trade for a good receiver, good to very good receiver.
Oh, sweet. Another good to very good receiver to add to the depth chart of.
If I told you right now, by April 30th, you would have Orlando Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, and Joey Porter Jr. on your roster, you would say?
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by it. Absolutely. You've now thrown some assets and some investment at three top needs. Yes, absolutely. Now, I'll go back to the Hopkins part. That's if Hopkins wants to come here and play for Billy O, and if they can rehab that relationship, if the respect between him and Bill Belichick is enough to sort of wipe out the disrespect between him and Bill O'Brien. I'm intrigued by it. I don't know how you could not be. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know if Joey Porter will be a bust. I don't know if, Orlando Brown will get fat and happy once he gets his massive contract. And I don't know if D-Hop could be proven done. That would be the Adam Jones rundown of the afternoon show. Why that will fail. I like the idea. I've talked a little bit about that. We've talked about how I've kind of, as NBC Sports Boston put it, change of heart, H-A-R-T, that
I figured it out. The second you said it, I was already there.
As much as I lusted for the T. Higgins thing that Teddy Bruschi has finally gotten around to, that we've been talking about for, 4 months now on the 6.
Yeah, a lot of people, by the way, are having some POV changes on who they want to trade for and who they want to draft. I'm telling you, I'm not saying, but I'm also not saying that people aren't listening and then take snaking us.
It happens. But because that's what you do. Remember the fidget spinners that had the 3 points and you held the middle and you spin it?
I have 2 young boys here in the house. Both of them are sons, fortunately, of mine. And it's not like I stole them. Yeah, we're going to do that. Well, they're both science babies. And foolishly enough, on the day I made my contribution to the prospect, or rather to the process, it was a man who was wearing a New York Jets t-shirt, and I had a Patriots shirt on. So I actually probably should get a 23andMe for both. They're way prettier than anything I could have ever possibly produced, so who knows? Anyway, yes, we have lots of fidget spinners around the house because I got 2 young kids.
That's the off season. You have to spin it and see, okay, okay, there's my tackle. Each one is a tackle, a corner, and a wide receiver.
It's like press your luck. No whammies, no whammies. That's all. Anytime Bill Belichick is going to sign somebody, because you get, sometimes you'll get a Hunter Henry, sometimes you get a Jonnu Smith. Hunter Henry is like $500. Jonnu Smith is a whammy. Same thing happens in the draft.
And this is where this all begins, and we'll talk about this in the next segment, but the timeline of free agency. So if you sign Orlando Brown, okay, so you're not taking a tackle at 14, I would presume. I mean, there's no rule saying you couldn't have 2 elite tackles and go that route. But I would think if you sign Orlando Brown, that's a tell on what you're thinking draft-wise and what you're learning this week as you accumulate information on these corners. or these tackles or these receivers is maybe influencing, well, no, we don't need to go get Jamel Dean because I think Porter is just as good and he's going to be there at 14, right? Like you're kind of piecing it all together, but the timeline is also a critical aspect of this. The sort of, remember math class when you learned the order of operations, parentheses, brackets, braces? Well, parentheses, brackets, braces lead you through the combine to free agency and then the draft.
Just to sort of put these names, I want the Mad fans, the Pats fans, the Foxborough frauds, as you like to call us, who are listening right now. Put these names in your mind. You'll see them on our social feeds. You'll hear more about them on this feed when Shime and Andy do 6 rings and prospect things and give you more positional breakdowns of prospects going forward. You're just going to get so much about the draft and all these people. You're going to feel like you're going to feel like really good relatives or best buddies in the neighborhood that you sit around and have driveway beers with. You got Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois, and it's kind of a little bit of a Yahtzee, like a little snow globe of the top 4 or 5 corners. Some say there's a true number 1, but you go to any different mock draft or any different positional breakdown, draft guru will have them differently. Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Then you got Cam Smith out of South Carolina, Joey Porter Jr., the aforementioned Penn State player, and Eli Ricks out of Alabama. Those are pretty much your top 5 corners, all of which are expected to go in the first round of the 2023 draft.
So Devin Witherspoon is a guy that Daniel Jeremiah on his massively long pre-combine press conference with the—
Is that over yet, by the way? Is he still on the line?
I don't think so. It's a little like when Doug Flutie retired. He kept going and going and droning on and on. But Jeremiah put Witherspoon as he listed 5 guys that were Patriot-type players, and he put Witherspoon on that list as a top corner, as a possibility. I know you've seen plenty of mock drafts with Joey Porter Jr. In that
not a lot of picks in college, but everyone says he's got the size and the intangibles plus the pedigree because his dad, Joey Porter Sr., was a talented, allotted NFL player
and a bad mofo on the
bad man. Exactly.
Mofo. He was he was very much in the midst of that Bengals Steelers AFC North type games and rivalries. So I don't necessarily hate that. We've talked about that, having a little dog in the fight, the Jabril Peppers dog in the fight. I don't hate that at cornerback. But no, Witherspoon's an interesting guy. It'll be funny on this week unfolds. One of those guys will run a fast 40. One of those guys that you just listed will run a fast 40, and one will probably run a slow 40, and that'll tweak. Oh boy, he's too slow to play corner in the NFL. And it's like, well, not really. Ty Law wasn't really all that fast, and now he's in Canton playing cornerback because, it's not just about how fast you run the 40.
I gotta tell you the one thing as I just scroll through the grades and the quick write-ups on these guys. No wonder why people are falling in love with Joey Porter Jr. Porter allowed just 45 yards on 73 coverage snaps across multiple games against Ohio State. In the past, he was able to erase Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Marvin Harrison Jr. on a number of routes.
That's pretty good.
Those are 3 first-round talents. Chris Olave is now part of going to be a top 10 receiver in the NFL this season. Garrett Wilson just won Rookie of the Year, also might be a top 10 receiver. And Marvin Harrison Jr., once he finds his way to the league, may also be a top 10 receiver. So pretty good.
Plus, if they draft Joey Porter Jr., and those of us who have ridden the red line out towards Tufts University, then we can in our head say, next stop, Porter. What?
Andy Hart, the Porter Square of the 6 Rings of Football Things podcast.
Porter.
Next stop, Porter. All right, so I think we can both agree, not the greatest free agent crop, definitely a massive position of need, intriguing prospects in the top, and of course, we do have a little bit of a recent history of the Patriots finding later round and undrafted free agents who have contributed significantly, but you can't bank on that. You can't. You could every other year Belichick find. Yeah, I know, but at the same time, if you bank on that, you're going to find yourself on the back end.
Bankrupt.
Yeah, you're gonna fight. Yeah, exactly. You'll find yourself in Madoff Town. You will be begging for mercy because the offenses in the AFC and the passing attacks that'll be coming at the Patriots this season and beyond are way too good to just hope that some other 6th, 7th round or undrafted free agent makes massive contributions. So, Andy, I was thinking walking into this was going to be about a 6 for me. I think I just went from 6 to 9. This is a massive position of need for the Patriots.
Other than 6 to midnight, like on Rich Keefe show. Yeah, I actually
gotta get on this.
Similar feeling. Came in thinking this was going to be a need, but not a top of the. But I've got it at 10. I think you need to go
all the way. The first 10, ladies and gentlemen, on the off-seasonal positional preview. Wow.
As I started, I think you need to invest in both free agency and the draft here. I would say one of your top 2 free agents has to be a cornerback, and one of your top 2 draft picks has to be a cornerback. I actually think you need the double dip here because I'm not so sure what the Joneses are going to be doing and ready for and all that. Plus, as we said, it's not like you need a left tackle. You need one left tackle. Get a left tackle out there, you filled it. When you're at cornerback, you're going to need at least 5 guys over the course of the year. If you're lucky, if you stay healthy, you're going to need 5 cornerbacks to play. Excuse me, Bill, you don't have 3 right now. Never mind 5. So you got to get adding to the depth chart significantly. So this is a ding, 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 10.
A full 10 from Andy Hart. Wow. Let it never be said that when you tune into 6 Rings and Football Things, we back away from the bold takes, the big predictions, and all of the hot analysis that brings the kids back to the party and keeps them here at the football table. Thanks for listening once again. As always, give us a follow at 6 Rings Pod, at FitzyGFY, and at Jumbo Hart. We will have another off-seasonal positional preview coming up in just a few days. But right there, ladies and gentlemen, your first 10 out of 10 on the 6 Rings Pod interest meter, cornerback, the new top need of the New England Patriots in the 2023 offseason. Marching merrily along here on the latest and greatest 6 Rings and Football Things, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Pat's Paris. We're going to need some theme music or something jazzy to get this. You know what I mean?
Like, get on that, yeah.
Just a little production, just like a little 5-second sting, or just something that just that heralds the segment with the kind of fanfare that I know it brings about for the happy Pats fans, boys and girls all throughout Pats Nation. We've got a lot of nuggets, Andy.
I'm the guy that you claim is never happy, never excited, never likes anything. I love doing this. This is my favorite segment, the Pat's Paris.
Pat's Paris is everyone's favorite segment, Andy. I mean, if you ask standard issue, the hardcore, the diehards, the Foxborough and Fenway faithful right now, what are their 2 favorite segments on podcasts and in broadcast radio right now? They will tell you to a man, woe man, and fan right now. It's Grab Bag on the Rich Keefe Show, and it's Pat's Paris on 6 Rings and Football Things, because you get a little something for everyone.
Well, it's just like in columns. I love reading the old, like, cleaning out the desk drawer columns where it's just little quick hits and things of that nature, little notes and anecdotes. Big fan. Speaking of which, quick one just off the Twitter press wire.
Oh!
According to Mike Reese 1 minute ago, free agent wide receiver Slade Bolden is working out with the Patriots. Former Alabama receiver, worked with Mac Jones. Billy O'Brien knows him. So, hey, if you want a slot receiver, maybe Slade Bolden could be in your wheelhouse early this offseason.
There it is. May I just remind everybody, Slade Bolden last season was it last year or 2 years ago? Did he come out the same year Mac did?
I don't know.
I think he did. You can look that up while I bloviate and filibuster here. Slade Bolden was this is Max Hunter Renfrow. This was his college Wes Welker. This was his Edelman. They're going to get him one of his guys. Classic, he's under 6 foot tall white dude who catches passes and he's shifty in the slot and can get open in a phone booth. We'll see him in Foxborough. 90 catches next season, no doubt. And
he came out last year.
He did. Who took him? Was he drafted or was he an UDFA?
No, I believe he was a UFA with the Ravens. Had him, and then he was hurt. I think he had a groin injury.
Yep.
So he 24 years old, a little bit older, Slade Bolden, but
looks like a young Sam Smith.
He's the hell Sam Smith?
He's a singer. Anyway, yeah, he's a very popular singer. So he grew up in Louisiana, played at Alabama. He's 5'10.5", 190 pounds. Seems like he could. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? Well, we are dying to love him, Andy. We are dying to love him because we didn't get our Hunter Renfrow. The Patriots have lacked at the Welker and Edelman position. They need that next guy, and especially, I'm not saying like insert Bolden for what Jacoby Myers did here. But considering that you are on the precipice of or could potentially lose arguably your top receiver of the past 2 seasons, you're going to need to throw some bodies at that as well.
So he had 24 catches in 2020 working with Mac Jones. Then in 2021 had 42 catches for 408 yards. He had 10.5 career yards per catch average over 68 catches, most of that over the last 2 seasons. So, yeah, do I think he's actually any sort of significant option or anything for the Patriots? No, I do not. But you know, whatever. It's this time of year. It's pre-combine. It's off season. We'll throw him in the Pats Puri talk.
That's exactly where he belongs. It was a sports hernia that he suffered from that derailed his rookie season as an UFO with the Ravens. Point of interest, if I may, and then we'll move on to our next little nugget. Played with Bill O'Brien. We have coordinator familiarity. So quarterback and coordinator could be advocating for the Pats to bring him in and give him a shot. So,
if he takes Jacoby Meyer's spot, we're porked.
Fair enough. Well, Andy, I hate to tell you, but between inflation, the alien invasion that is already well underway.
Did you see that one off the wing of the plane?
Next year, being an election year, we are porked. No, I didn't see one off the wing of the plane.
After the podcast, look that up. It's from like the Sun, and it was making the rounds on Twitter yesterday where somebody doing like the outside the plane window wing of. Then there's this thing that is straight out of a freaking movie, this big black object that just comes up and doesn't look like a regular plane because it kind of comes up and then levels out in the clouds. Yeah, they're here. There is no doubt in my mind they are freaking here. They are all around us.
Let's hope that they like robust football talk with zesty takes, because for certain they would want to be tuned into Six Rings and Football Things. Oh my God, that is a strange alien object. What in the holy hell is that thing?
It's a UFO. Like, I think we can just agree, unless it's CGI, unless it's edited. But if that's a real video, that is an actual UFO that I just saw.
Mother of pearl. What in the heavens is that?
It's a UFO.
That has to be that has to be
a weather balloon. Wow. Or it's like, and don't try to sell me on anything other than it's a UFO.
All right. Well, let's just try to get through this podcast before we're all either brought aboard the mothership or zapped into ashes and oblivion. All right, moving on with Pats Free. There's been your unidentified Foxborough object coming in. Any other combine thoughts you care to share, Andy? What are the Patriots like? What do the Pats do at the combine? Like, aside from like generate Belichick memes with like looking through the binoculars, and are they big combine guys? It seems like the Patriots get their guys elsewhere.
Well, I don't think they're necessarily, the combine's the be all end all, but Belichick does and always has cared about numbers. Like, I'll go back to people that tell me, he doesn't care. Nope. Go back to like Ben Watson. He falls in love with combine testers too, just like every other coach on the planet at various times. Now, they've handled the combine differently in different years. Sometimes they all go and they're in there en masse, like for the whole week. Sometimes they're intermittent. Generally, the position coaches show up just for their position. So whatever couple days or the O-line, your Adrian Clem will be there. Now, remember, it's a new staff coming together. So I think that could affect what's going on and how they handle it. Now, obviously, you won't hear from Bill because Bill doesn't do the combine press conference like others do. He's done it like twice in my time over the last 20 years covering it.
He only speaks at the owners meetings, I believe.
Yes,
usually?
He'll do the owners meetings. I would look out for, you'll probably get like a Matt Groh, Patriots.com 2-minute sit down, heavily edited interview this week. Our
pals, Mike Dussault and Evan Lazar are out there this week. Maybe we could effort to see if we could get one of them with some quick combine thoughts on the later week edition of the pod.
That would be a maybe next week, actually. Let's let them digest the entirety of it before we put them on the spot. But yes, I think that would be a good idea because they are boots on the ground. I'm a little jealous. I do kind of miss that aspect. I do kind of miss it.
I actually just miss road trips in general. Like, I don't, we're doing the post-game show. We're doing podcasts. We fill in from 6A to 11P all over the dial. Like, I don't get to go to as many tailgates. I got to go to like a tailgate last year. I don't get to go to combines. I haven't been to the draft in forever.
Yeah,
I miss the people. I miss the people, the events, the action. Need a little something.
People. I just miss the event, but I don't really like people.
you know, either someone figure out what's German for 6 rings and football things, or I'm out by this fall because I want road pods over
Wait,
in
you're quitting?
Alemania. No, it's that. Well,
You promise?
well, not yet. What's that?
Oh, you promise?
Oh, don't. Your wish will come true soon enough. Don't worry.
But yeah, just, you know, you never know what's going to come out of the combine because agents, like one year when they were heavily in the negotiations with Logan Mankins, his agent kind of went off at the combine. So you never really know what's going to transpire. An agent, you know, I'm just going to throw this out there. Speculation warning. This is just speculation. For example,
that's what we do.
Jonnu Smith's agent could be like, he needs to be traded. He's miserable. It's not working. We need to figure something out. Like anything on any player on the roster, in addition to the prospects, could be a talking point this week because the whole NFL is basically in Indy, and there'll be a lot of whispers and a lot of alcohol-induced information flowing. Yes,
good. You know, a good old the good old boys network, the old hobnobbing around the fireplace, around the bar top. So this is where the groundwork could be laid. Forget about 3-cone drill. Oh, the Patriots love the 3-cone drill.
Yeah.
You know, how high did he jump? What's his standing broad? What's his 40 time? Last year, they fell in love with Tyquan Thornton because he was the fastest guy at the combine.
How'd that work out for you?
Nah, not great so far. I don't think he's a bust already, as you wrote, or is it you
I put a question.
Everybody's
forgotten about him.
I know. He could actually be a significant contributor. I would have maybe gone, no, not you people. I even said last year, while I appreciate the fact that they went for speed, I would have maybe taken someone who could have been a little less boom or bust. I wouldn't have minded a safer pick at wide receiver. That George Pickens guy, he would have looked nice in a Patriots uniform. But hey, listen, maybe Tyquan Thornton will have me eating my words with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Okay, so the Pats aren't going to be so in on like, oh, look at this guy. Look at the jump. Look at the 3-cone on this guy. But they could be laying the groundwork for some new deals, some reconfigurations, some cuts, some signings. Good to know. Let's see. Moving on with the potpourri. DeMarcus Covington, once again, dare I say, proverbial bullet dodged. He will not be taking we already know he's not going to go to the Cardinals. They wanted to interview him for defensive coordinator. They hired somebody else. And he will not be going to the Los Diego Chargers as their defensive coordinator. So one of the hot young defensive coaching prospects in the league stays with the Patriots as their defensive line coach this season. He had a chance to be the defensive coordinator or co-defensive coordinator of the Senior Bowl. Very much appreciated, respected in the building, Andy. So that's a plus. That's a nice little feather in the cap for the Pats.
Yeah, because you don't want to solidify your offensive coaching staff only to watch your defensive coaching staff fall apart. And that could have happened this offseason. With Mayo and Covington, if you lose both those guys, now I think we're talking about, defense. What does Bill have to do? How ill-prepared are they for this? But to be able to keep the defensive coaching staff together, keep hot commodities like Covington and Mayo is positive. And I will continue to throw out there, because I don't know if this is seen as like racist or taboo or whatever.
That's a great preface before you say anything. So
yeah, Dilbert told me that. But as you develop minority coaches, there's now value in the NFL in terms of draft pick compensation if they move on to better jobs. So it's also good business in the way that in the old days, having 3 quarterbacks was good business, because you might be able to turn one into a draft pick down the road. Eventually, you may end up getting drafted, even if Mayo stays. Mayo's the chosen one. Well, maybe Covington is the guy that turns into draft pick compensation. So even in that light, it's good business at some point for his Q rating around the league to rise to a level where you may benefit from it.
Bill Barnwell, in a piece that he posted to ESPN Plus, ESPN.com Plus package, you can easily read all those articles and more if you get what I like to call the bundle, as they call it. You get the bundle. Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. Money well spent, only like $13 a month, especially considering that by the time you listen to this, The Mandalorian could be back. This is the way. Anywho, Bill Barnwell, in his latest missive, which Keefe and I were posturing, runs just about 5 to 10 words shorter every week than Peter King's Football Morning in America. I think they chase each other down the 25,000 word hole every week. It's impossible.
I blame Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons started this. I blame Bill Simmons. He used to just absolutely empty the bucket of words, and I think it was all just like showing off like, oh, look
Yeah,
at
but
me,
when
I
it was
write
Bill
20,000
Sim, I
words.
know, but when it was Bill Simmons being, with the charm and the smarm and the pithy from the Super Bowl with his running diaries, that was fun. Afterwards, it was like, come on, let's just get to the point, guy. Let's go.
Hate it. Concise. Be concise.
Exactly. Anyway, Bill Barnwell, in his most recent piece, said he could see the Patriots re-signing Jacoby Myers and postured there could be many cut candidates, including Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, and Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, I
Wow.
don't.
Can you imagine if they just like ate all that dead money, cleaned house, and said, all right, everyone that was either a problem or underproduced last season, get out?
Yeah, none of it makes any sense to me. I know Bill Barnwell is considered like this savant, or I don't even know what people consider him, but people seem to care what he thinks.
He has a beautiful football mind, as some say.
I guess. I'm not so sure. It might be broken. This seems like an ugly football mind. So Jonnu Smith, you cut him. He costs more to not play for you than he does to play for you. That's not good.
It's a bitter pill to swallow.
Now, you could argue which one you get more out of. That's a fair argument because he is a bit of a turnover machine at times and looks uncomfortable with the football. Hunter Henry is I guess in this scenario, you are re-signing Jacoby Myers, but then you're taking away Mac Jones's other security blanket, Hunter Henry, who in his first year, forget last year, which was a little bit slow starting and Matt Patricia, all that, Hunter Henry was the comfort red zone guy for Mac Jones. And as you're trying to build up Mac Jones again, I don't know why you'd cut Hunter Henry. I'm more in line with the people that think maybe Hunter Henry gets an extension and you bring him back. And then Kendrick Bourne, I mean, I guess if it got so personal and it's so toxic, his relationship with the team. But again, I think some of that was Matt Patricia related, not necessarily Bill O'Brien related. So there's a new, none of these make sense to me. None. And I also think he's a little low on because he comped a 2-year deal that Hunter Renfrow signed with the Raiders, 2 at 32.
2 for 32. That was Hunter Renfrow. Yeah. $16 million a season. And what a brutal year Hunter Renfrow had last year.
I would do that. I would do the shorter term, bigger money. You know, I had told you I was thinking 3 and
3 for 39.
Maybe you can steal him. Mike Reese just this weekend said with Tannenbaum in his Sunday Notes column, they're thinking 15 to 20 million per season for Jacoby Myers on the open market because there's a lot of money to be spent. There's not a lot of great receivers to spend it on. So I'm not sure I think none of this makes sense from Bill Barnwell. That entire piece that was the Patriots in his column, to me, makes no sense.
And Devontae Parker is a potential cut candidate. What say you to, I mean, for $5.5 million for a guy that's great on 50-50 balls when you need somebody who's over 6'1" to go and get him, a red zone target. He and Mac had a nice little chemistry last year at times, Andy.
Who's playing receiver?
Yeah, the corners. They're going
to because if you cut Bourne and you cut Parker,
does he not bleed?
I don't know. He's a machine. He's bubbly. But they don't have a ton of receivers right now. They have a nice little group of complementary. I wonder what Barnwell's big picture idea is. Are they drafting a receiver and trading for a receiver? Now you could sell me on that. If they draft Zay Flowers at 14 and trade for Hopkins and add him to Tyquan Thornton and Jacoby Myers, okay, you have receivers. But that's a big if. That's 2 big ifs in there. And Parker, I believe Parker, the bulk of his money, almost all of it is salary. So I wouldn't cut him until the final cuts of August. If I were thinking of cutting him,
I think there'd be a role for him on this team. I would hate to see Kendrick Bourne cut after all he showed in 2021 and all the poor guy went through, and the way he was mocked and turned into a veritable Patriots pariah last season as well. Speaking of Zay Flowers, anyone who is still with us here on the pod, whether you went all the way through or you're just listening to the second half because you love the news, notes, nuggets, and tidbits of interest in Pat's Paris, do yourself a flavor and just go to Twitter and type in Zay Jones, and you'll see a receiver who plays for Jacksonville. If you type in Zay Flowers, you will see someone who is absolutely yoked. My word, this kid has put on 13 pounds of pure, unadulterated, grown man muscle. He is cut, primed, and ready and is going to be a combine star. And if you think the Patriots thought they could maybe get him at 14, which was probably way higher than they might have ever been prepared to draft him, since they were all over him like white on rice and like flies on crap at the East-West Shrine game, holy smokes. This guy might end up finding his way into the top 10 if he runs like a 4.3 and puts on a show at the combine, Andy.
Yeah, he's trending in that direction. There's a lot to like about him. If you remember, DK Metcalf had the famous shirtless photo that kind of lifted him and AJ Brown a couple years ago. That was all over social media, and then Pete Carroll took his shirt off, and that whole thing. Zay Flowers, this is a similarly popular photo that's going to spread like wildfire through the football world. I started as I begin, and you teased it a little earlier. We will have 6 Rings positional prospect preview podcast heading towards the NFL draft. Started really digging into the wide receiver position this week. Watched a lot of tape on some of the top prospects that are expected to be
get
there.
in on that tape.
Zay Flowers is really impressive. Like his on-field, he's got some.
Good.
He's going to be a very good NFL player. I'm a little scared, again, to quote Glenn Ordway for the second time in 10 minutes, legend of the radio business, that he is going to get a little overdrafted, but hell, it feels like everybody gets overdrafted these days. And if you made me rank my receivers right now, I would have him number 1. I would have Jordan Addison number 2. I think those 2 guys are really good. Jackson Smith,
Injaba.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I get in trouble saying it.
Yep. No, that's okay. I'm here to help.
I like him, don't love him. I think Zay Flowers, to me, Zay Flowers is a rich man's Deion Branch. I see the route running. I see the quickness. I see some playmaking. I think he could be.
I've heard as much.
I've heard
the melding of Deion Branch and Antonio Brown.
Yep.
Why
there's some of that. There's a little bit of Tyreek Hill, not as explosive as Cheetah, but I see a little Tyreek Hill in him. The different routes he can run. He tracks the ball well. There's a lot to love about Zay Flowers, and I feel like if you get him with a really good quarterback in a pro system with a good coordinator, I think they could have a crapload of fun with him making plays from a variety of places.
Talk to me, Goose. I mean, you could just see this kid exploding. Now, if the Patriots were to get after him early in the draft and they thought they had a chance to get him at 14, which, like I just said a moment ago, could change if he just explodes or Dunn puts on a show at the combine this week, then you'd have to go with maybe trade or sign both a corner, because we addressed that in the first half of the podcast in the offseason positional preview. You have to trade for or sign a free agent tackle as well, or you'd have to identify a second or third rounder you believe can contribute this season or shortly thereafter, and hope to Hades that the combination of Stuba, McDermott, and Brown can hold the line this year at the tackle positions. And I didn't take much comfort in what I just said either, Andrew. All right, couple last little nuggets. Andy, just give me a yes, no, and a 5-second why. Do you think the Patriots, now that the Chicago Bears are going to put up the number 1 overall pick for sale, would they potentially be interested for any ridiculous reason?
No.
Okay.
I mean, the cost you'd have to pay to get up there, what you'd have to give up. I don't know who you'd be targeting. I don't think it's a quarterback. I don't really want Bryce Young at 5'10". I know the height is gonna start to be really questioned.
But he processes his things so fast.
Yeah, we got a quarterback that processes supposedly from Alabama, who you took in the first round, who knows Billy O'Brien. So stop talking about that.
And if I want a 5'10" quarterback, I got one sitting behind Mac Jones that looks like a clone that had a real good feel-good story and threw 5,000 touchdowns at Western Kentucky the year before.
By the way, so yeah, no, they're not trading up to the number 1 pick with the Bears. But I'm waving to my teenage kids that are making a snowman in the front yard. But
I guess they did want to build a snowman. And my children are sledding right now. They're all having the youthful joy while we provide people with the information and analysis they so desperately need.
We're youthful and joyous. We're youthful and joyous a little bit.
Much more so than usual. Well, I mean, I enter this chamber of analysis joyful, and then by the end, I'm always just.
Which is where I need to take you now.
Exhausted.
I need to take you into a dark area.
Oh.
You're not comfortable going there, because I think we probably could have done a full segment on this, but we can save it for future. So Devin McCourty was on Get Up Football, Good Morning Football, whatever.
Good morning, it's touchdowns, yep.
And defended Mac Jones, talked about him being the future of the franchise, and no one. And you people all immediately said, see, what's with all these rumors of people not being happy with. You let me know when I heard previously that a player said they were unhappy with Mac. I'd never heard once that a player didn't like Mac, was unhappy with Mac. All I've heard is praise from players. The speculative analysis of people that were rubbed the wrong way by Mac last year was that it was the organization, Bill Belichick, coaches, those types of people. And I'm sorry, I don't believe McCourty speaks for them. He's speaking from a player's perspective. So I didn't think that answered anything this week. And there were a lot of touchdown twins types on Twitter, as Paul Perillo likes to call them, saying, see, there's nothing going on in Foxborough. And I'm like, no, he spoke from a player perspective. He did not speak from the perspective of maybe Bill Belichick was annoyed. I know Tom Curran on our station, for example, late in the year speculated that Mac may have made an enemy of the head coach, I think is how he worded it, by his actions. Devin McCourty didn't respond to that. Devin McCourty was giving you his captain and player perspective. So I think the players like him. I've never heard a player say they don't like Mac or respect Mac or like his swag, or you've heard everybody. It's the coaches and Bill being on the record saying, yeah, Mac has the ability to play quarterback in the NFL. Like, oh, that didn't seem like that wasn't exactly a pat on the back from the head coach. So nothing changed this week. Nothing.
Nope, not a single damn thing should have changed. Whether it's your belief in Devin McCourty possibly coming back because he said he's going to make a decision in early to mid-March, and then Matthew Slater taken to the airwaves with Steve Burton opining for his guy to come back and join him for the victory lap season. I still think that would be a bridge too far. I think Devin McCourty should go gently into that good broadcast and media personality, sports analyst night. Mac Jones, beloved by his teammates. I have such massive Mac Jones fatigue already. It's unbelievable. It's not even, we're recording this on the final day of final day of February 2023, and already like, enough. Either get rid of him or give him a chance to play this season. Everyone shut up. Well, just because I just want to be done with it. I obviously, and I'm far from a Mac stan, but I believe you need to give Mac Jones a full season to figure out, since you spent the damn first round pick on him, can he excel? I believe he can. He can be a top 12 quarterback with this coordinator, with better weaponry and talent around him. It's damn near exhausting, Andy. It really has gotten exhausting at this point. So trust the teammates, trust the process, trust the new coordinator, and let's just move on to something else, please.
And I just think a fair discussion is being had, and one that's warranted with Mac Jones and what he's accomplished and done over 2 years, because I read our website and Alex Reamer's writing a column about how there seems to be like this smear campaign going on against Mac. And I kind of agree. There's whispers of smear. And then I hear Adam Jones in the afternoon bitching and moaning that there's a propaganda campaign going on for Mac based on the Devin McCourty comments. You know what that means? We're right where we should be. There's an honest conversation going on about Mac. Is he as good as the proponents believe, or as Devin McCourty may believe? Is he the devil child that some of the critics may be? Or maybe it's in the middle somewhere, and in this make or break year 3, we're going to find out. And I think that's a fair conversation to be had right now.
Exactly. And Mac Jones, hopefully, as he said on his trainer's Instagram comments, can earn that trust back this season as he goes about doing his Planet Fitness, Grandma cardio, and Zumba.
I'm not a fan. I'd rather he take off his shirt and look like a white Zay Flowers than do his like dog lift core rotation,
butt stretch, fire. Put in the foam roller. I mean,
and I understand,
folks, I do that, and I'm not a quarterback, and I do that just so I don't get arthritic hips because I'm almost 50, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I wish he would come back looking like Dolph Lundgren in Rocky IV. Holy crap! Look at the abs and the pecs.
I must throw touchdowns. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I apologize, everyone. By the way, great realization to make at the 52-minute mark into your podcast. That there was a microphone issue. So if you've been listening to this podcast saying, hey, Fitzy doesn't seem to have the same richness of tone, the same dulcet timbre, if you will, the bassy, velvety, smooth chocolate sound that his voice usually brings me on the pod, it's because the microphone wasn't hooked up the entire time, and Zoom just let me know that. So I apologize for the tinny, if not echoey quality to my voice in this podcast.
Was that tinny?
Tinny.
Oh, I thought you said something different. That made me laugh.
No. Why would I ever make you laugh on purpose, Andy?
I'm going to say to you what Dante Scarnecchia once said to a couple of
excuses.
Linemen. No. You are an effing moron. I repeat, an effing moron.
Yeah. No, I get that. Well, I would have thought maybe our producer, who's already off producing another radio program, would have said, hey, Fitz, you sound different. But that's the problem.
I actually didn't think you sounded different.
That's because I've got a naturally loud voice and I project, but that's okay. I listen for these things. This is the problem. I'm a geek. I'm an audiophile. You know, I went to film school. You mock me for that all you want, but like I would notice. And I'm sure when I download and listen to this, when it's available tomorrow on Spotify, weei.com, Odyssey, Apple Pods, etc., I'm going to go, damn it, Fitzy. Come on, Nicholas. You should do better. I will next time. I won't let you down, people. Last two quick nuggets, Andy, because we've gone on much longer, but yet we'll still find another hour's worth of stuff to talk about in 2 days. Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier, it was announced this morning, will be taking a year off. Whether that's for personal reasons, whether it's because he's mad he didn't get a head coaching job, could be health issues. That's not great. I mean, they lose Dayball last year. It besets them a bit, though Ken Dorsey did a very good job stepping in. And now you lose your defensive coordinator, who's one of the more highly regarded in the National Football League. Trouble in Mafia land?
Yes. I think they showed the signs of losing Dayball late last season and into the postseason offensively when it turned into Josh Allen, chuck and duck kind of football, throw it down the field. And now I think you will probably see a defense that could lose Jordan Poyer, a safety that is a good defense, but isn't as good as its numbers, fell apart a little bit down the stretch. Now, I do think Frazier is pissed that he didn't get a coaching job. I think this is in relation to becoming a head coach and tied into that. But from a Patriot perspective, this is good for you. The Bills are actually going through what teams usually go through after they win the Super Bowl, except the Bills haven't been to or won the Super Bowl yet. Like the quarterback's getting paid. You lose an offensive coach. You lose a defensive coach. You got to get through all these things, except they haven't won anything yet in the midst of their little run here.
And last but not least, a piece that our producer Justin Turpin, gave us right before we went to air.
From the Onion, right? This is from the Onion?
I wish it was from the Onion. There's a rumor that Tom Brady may be considering stand-up comedy. That he may actually...
This is going to hurt. He's going to be better than you at something you've done.
No, he wouldn't. I would gladly do a roast. My dream, I've still never physically met Tom Brady, interviewed him a number of times, spoken to every member of the family except him, not Giselle. Well, she's not in the family anymore. But that being said, rather than meet Brady, I would love to do a roast battle with Tom Brady. Hell, some people even told me on that foolish movie, you haven't seen 80 for Brady yet, have you?
No.
Yeah, they've got like a Sully and a Fitzy and a Murph type character that they cut to on a podcast on the regular during 80 for Brady as well. So I appreciate the nod, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. Dude, Gronk tried stand-up for a while. Bad idea. It made it look like his Fox football analysis was top shelf and that he belonged on the broadcast networks. Now, I heard he was going to be doing a Netflix roast series called Greatest Roasts of All Time. That was announced last year. We'll see if that actually comes to be with the Roastmaster General, Jeff Ross. Brady doing stand-up? No. I mean, like, I'd rather hear him in the booth on Fox, and I don't think he's going to be very good at that either.
Well, we're seeing, and you bring up Gronk, and it's the same thing, where everybody was like, oh, Gronk's going to be the next Rock, and you're like, what? Not even close to the next
said that?
Oh, that was, you don't remember that? That's what everybody said when he retired. Oh, he's got such a personality. Like, and it was so obvious he wasn't. This is the version of these Saturday Night Live skits that get made into movies, and you're like, wow, that was really funny for 6 minutes, but when you make it 90 minutes, it's not funny.
It's a night at the Roxbury.
And like that's great. What these guys are. Good sound bites within their world of football. Like, oh, I need 10-second, good quote, good line, good smile, good delivery. Then they think they're something they're not. You're football players. And I mean, Brady was never all that funny. I thought he peaked in that Dick's Sporting Goods commercial.
That was a good one that he did with Funny or Die, the Will Ferrell production company. Yes.
I thought that was the best he did. He was okay when he did Saturday Night Live. That was a number of years back now. I forget.
He was not great on SNL. I mean, Peyton Manning.
Okay.
Peyton Manning, greater than, funnier than sign. Peyton Manning could do stand-up. He has done celebrity roasts. Right. I know he employs a cadre, a team of writers when he does them. I know people that have written for those guys, and they're excellent, and Peyton has awesome delivery. I don't know how this would go for Tom. The thing about when you do stand-up, Andy, not very well, and Tom Brady should not do anything that ends poorly. But like the thing is, you have to have a POV. Like, who are you? The observational comedian, the put-upon dad? Are you just a one-liner guy? You know, like what is Tom like? And they say the formula for comedy is comedy equals tragedy over time. what is so like? What does Tom Brady have to get up on stage and bemoan? What is Tom Brady going to criticize? What is Tom Brady's? Where's the ennui? What weighs so heavily on Tom Brady's shoulders that he's going to get up there and, rip us up for 15 minutes or do a tight five? Come on.
I think there's no chance. And then when I read some of the stories, and one of the jokes or lines he was workshopping was, what did the linebacker say to the flight attendant? Put me in coach. What? Awkward.
Please don't tell me that's real.
No, that was from supposedly, like, a source said one of the jokes he was like happy about or popular or he was saying to friends. And apparently every friend is with us. You read these stories and like they're trying to talk him out of it. His inner circle's trying to talk him out of it. This won't end well.
No.
They're all right. And maybe he just needs to learn for himself. These rich people, these egomaniacs, these driven people think, yeah, and I was told I couldn't play in the NFL either, so I'll show you guys. Well, yeah, you were right about the NFL part. You were better than your draft status. You will be wrong about your comedic status. The only thing that will be funny will be watching a guy like Tom Brady, a golden child who does everything well, crash and burn on stage.
Our pal, friend of the show, Patriots legend Matt Light does an annual comedy show. This year it's going to be at the Encore, the 28th or 29th of March, I believe. And he does it to benefit the Light Foundation. Matt doesn't get up there and do a 20-minute set. He's not the headline. He's not the feature. He doesn't even open. He does a little MC work, shows some funny videos from back in the day that he took. But then he brings up professional comedians to do the comedy portion of the show. If Tom wanted to do a surprise five at a fundraiser someplace that he workshopped with a lot of jokes that he wrote, that top shelf comedy writers from Hollywood, the Phil Rosenthal's and all, right for him, makes total sense. To try this as a legit routine because he needs to, receive love and adulation because there's a hole in his soul. Ooh, that is going to end poorly. There will not be a 28-3 to the Tom Brady stand-up comedy routine tour, and we can just leave it at that. All right, we have sailed well past what we expected. It's almost a double supersized edition when we thought we were just going to have a quickie here on the old Six Rings and Football Things. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode. For more action, make sure you give a follow, rate, review, subscribe, and share amongst your friends in your Foxborough football community. Your old pal at FitzyGFY, Nick Fitzy Stevens, at Jumbo Hart, Andy Hart here with you on the at Six Rings Pod. We'll be back in a couple of days. So much more coming on this offseason. Enjoy your combine week. Enjoy it all, and thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you soon. And as always, as Andy peers out the window, looking at the strange kids that are either on his lawn or whatever they're doing out there,
they're spray painting a snowman. They have spray paint now.
That's not a good idea. All right. You need to attend to your children. I got to go find mine somewhere in the snowbanks of Southern Connecticut right now. Good day. God bless. Thanks for listening. And as always, go Pats.